congratulations for the launch in India officially now. It's great. My first question, of course, comes from the fact that Pebble was a startup. It was a Kickstarter project, right? And India is, of course, seeing a big growth in startups lately. So, what is a message that you have for budding startups, especially people who are trying to do something in the hardware business?
It's what they say. Hardware is hard. That is definitely a truism about hardware startups. But I think the people that are drawn to doing hardware startups are extraordinarily passionate about what they do. Personally, I see people who build hardware as people who want to, physically make a difference in the world. It's one of my favorite things about doing a hardware startup is actually seeing someone out there in the world wearing a Pebble. And that's something you could say about people who start software companies, of course. But it's, I think, extra special when you're working on hardware. I've been working on this for 8 years now, so I think another pretty important message is perseverance.
Persistence, yes.
There's no overnight success in this business or really in anything. And even when we launched on Kickstarter, that was 4 years into working on the startup.
Okay. So, how has the journey been from just being this Kickstarter project to being this international big brand of smartwatches?
Well, I think we're still somewhat of a small company, or we're still growing. But I think we benefited a lot from being in the right place at the right time and having the right product. So at the beginning in 2012, no one really woke up in the morning and said, "Hey, I want to buy a smartwatch." That wasn't on the tip of people's tongue. It wasn't really something that people were searching out. But I think we put together the right combination of features and price and capabilities that really clicked. It really snapped with people, and we've grown a ton since then. We've sold over a million. We've sold a lot of watches in a bunch of different countries, and we're excited to be expanding into India because we've seen the demand already from people who have bought it off Kickstarter or off our website and just had to deal with the crazy Indian customs bureau and everything to get it shipped over into the country.
Yeah, the story is I was also one of those few that bought it when it was India and Pebble still wasn't officially available. So I remember the whole back and forth of emailing so many documents to fit.
All the hard work of getting it shipped. I've heard some pretty good horror stories, pretty bad horror stories about the.
Yeah, no, but the FedEx guys were.
I grew up in Canada, so I had to deal with the same thing where you have this cool thing from the US that you want to buy, except the Canadian, shipping system wants to take its 20% fee.
Yeah. So my next question is Android Wear has been in India for a while now, and they've had some products that have been launched and marketed really, really well. How do you see yourself competing with Android Wear in India, and what do you think sets you apart?
I think we have a very differentiated product than the competition. When we looked at this, we started off by making a great watch and adding smart features to it. When we make a watch, we want to build something that people love putting on their wrist every day, or some people even sleeping with it, practically 24/7. So we start with a great watch. I think that's an important differentiator because this is taking the position of a watch on your wrist. A lot of people wear watches, even people who don't wear watches. There's a history and there's a certain kind of feeling that comes along with wearing something on your wrist. The second thing we've done is focus. We've chosen a couple things for Pebble to become great at, and we decided actively at the beginning not to try to make a product that would attempt to do everything. We weren't in this to try to build a smartphone on your wrist. We decided to focus on communication, with notifications being important, or controlling things around your life.
Yeah.
And the second thing that we added fairly recently, like last year, was Pebble Health. The addition of activity tracking, sleep tracking, fitness tracking, and that's become a much larger focus area for us in 2016. So those are the two things. Pebble, obviously, it's an open platform, so anyone can build on top of it, but those are the two primary focuses. And we don't really think Pebble's for everyone. I mean, not every single person in the world is going to buy a Pebble, but for the people that do appreciate the communication and notification aspects and the health aspects, that's our primary focus.
Okay. So we've seen the Pebble when it launched, it had the e-ink display, but in black and white, and now you have it in color. But with the
Yeah.
competition, they're moving from not only color displays to AMOLED, OLED. Variety of technologies. You've heard. We're hearing a lot of smartwatch makers move in that direction. Any idea to jump away from e-ink displays for Pebble?
No, we're focused on building what we think is the best smartwatch experience. I think there's a lot of things we can do. I mean, we could literally. I mean, we've seen the competition just like you have. We've tried all of the different watches, um, but at the end of the day, we think we have an experience that lends itself very well to working on the wrist. I mean, I love my phone. My phone has a beautiful display. It's massive. It's as big as a piece of paper, and it sits in my pocket most of the time, or sits charging on my desk at work. And I rely on my Pebble for a subset of what my phone does,
Yeah.
but I don't expect my Pebble to replace everything that my phone is doing for me today.
Okay, so now the smartwatch category as a consumer electronic product is relatively new and it's in its nascent stages in India. Of course, there are others like Motorola and Samsung that have had first movers advantage, but we have received a survey report which says that a lot of retailers are getting smartwatches back. 50% of their smartwatch sales are returned because consumers at times don't know something as basic as how to connect it with their smartphones. So, do you have any plan or any education for consumers as to how to optimize and best use their products?
So one of the reasons why we've entered into new markets recently, like we entered into the European market, and India's the largest market that we've entered in since the UK. Um, One of the reasons why we're doing this is because we've actually spent the last 4 years perfecting our technology and improving the software. As a Pebble user, you've seen us update the software on a monthly
Yeah.
basis. Every month there's a new little update, some new features. Um, this has been, I think, the biggest learning experience for us is actually having millions of people who are using our software and issuing updates and software updates over the air. I mean, if you used Pebble 3 or 4 years ago, when you picked up, I think you tried out a new Pebble Time.
Yeah, yeah. The round is what I have on me right now. I've had the Pebble Time, which is when I started working for consumer tech, is when I sourced the Pebble Time as well from you guys in the US. You guys sent it, so that was
Yeah,
also great. And then I
and
used one version before that.
that's so you had the chance to see Pebble at all these
Yeah.
different periods. And one of the things that we pride ourselves in is actually getting better. There's not many other consumer electronics that you can buy at one point and then use and continue to use, and the product actually gets better. So we've worked hard on Bluetooth reliability, battery life. We have very detailed instructions on our website that we've built with improvements from our customers. Pebble works with both iPhone and Android, which we also really appreciate. It's a funny story. So back back when we were just 3 people at the company, we had to make a decision about whether we would support iPhone or Android. And we couldn't decide because one person used an iPhone and everyone else used Android, and we just couldn't imagine like not letting a third of the company not use the product. And so we decided at that time to support both platforms. And of course, little did we know that that would be one of the hardest decisions ever, because I mean, it takes a lot of our talent and engineering skill to be able to support both platforms with the same product. But we think it's important because then you have choice. Then you don't have to be stuck to one iOS or Android phone. You can switch if you want, or give it to a friend to share.
Okay. Speaking of app development for the platform, now that you've launched in India, do you have any plans to partner with any India-specific apps or app developers for the watch?
Yes, we've already started working on a number of partnerships. There's a Cricket Live app that just launched for Pebble that you can check cricket scores on your wrist. There's a bunch of watch faces that have come out. But the way that we enter a new market is a little bit unique. We actually focus on building a larger open developer ecosystem. So we've sponsored a number of hackathons in India, and we've actually sent our developer relations team to go and attend these hackathons. So the first one was in Mumbai over the weekend. I
Okay.
just saw the photos. It looked pretty fun. So we're going to do 3 or 4 of these. I think we're going to try to attract a couple thousand developers to Pebble. And once it actually starts selling, we see that there's actually an uptick in development just as regular developers start buying the watch off of Amazon or off of the channels. This is what happened when we entered into several other markets, and we're excited about kind of seeing what apps come out of the Indian hacker developer market over the next month or two.
All right. Can you share any numbers on sales that you have seen in India?
Yeah, so I can show we have analytics that show that about 20,000 people have already bought Pebble off of Kickstarter and off of the website and that kind of thing, and are using it in India. But that's early. I mean, that's before we even launched on Amazon. So I think we want to see that number quadruple over the next year.
All right. Oh, wow. Since you already have a portfolio of from the Pebble Time, the Pebble Round, can we expect any more devices this year from Pebble, or is this the portfolio that you're launching with? Because this is your full portfolio right now, right?
So this is it. This is what we're launching on Amazon. I think one of the things we also appreciate a lot when we go into a new market is it's not just about launching the existing products. You know, we've taken when we went into Europe, we launched all the products that we have there over time. I'm looking forward to coming to India as well. I think we'll be there this year to talk to the developers and really kind of cement our relationship with Amazon and in general.
Okay, so the Pebble starts at 6,000 Indian rupees for the classic, and the round is the most expensive one at about 16,000 rupees. It's very aggressive price.
Pebble Time Steel is 15,599.
Yeah, the Pebble Time Steel, yes.
Pebble Time Round is 13,599.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So the Pebble Time Steel, still that's the top of the line, is for almost 15,500 rupees. That is very aggressive pricing, seeing what some of the most popular Android web products are priced at in India. So how did you manage to get such aggressive pricing when coming to India? Because we've seen a lot of international products when they launch, they're very premiumly priced, or they are still a little expensive, and it takes time for the price to come down competitive. But you guys launched very competitively.
Well, for us, I mean, one of the things we care most about is accessibility. How can more people get their hands or their wrists on a Pebble? Price is important, compatibility is important, battery life is important, software capabilities. We think that Pebble, in fact, is a great activity tracker mixed together with a great smartwatch. And we think that it takes the spot not just of other smartwatches, but also Fitbits and the other activity trackers of the world.
Okay. Now the UI of Pebble, even though it's changed a lot, it still had the traditional 3 buttons on one side and 1 button on the left. And even though the UI has changed, your functionality has pretty much been the same. But we have seen devices like the Samsung Gear S2, which has the rotating dial, which is also a very intuitive way of interacting with a smartwatch. So, any plans to change the UI in a different direction, or are you going to stick with the current layout as it's been?
Again, we've tried all the competition, we've given everything a shot, and we keep coming back to Pebble because it's simple, it's focused, and it gets the job done without complicating matters. I mean, the watch is not somewhere that you want to spend 10, 20 seconds interacting with. You want to be able to quickly glance down, see what's up, cancel the message or dismiss it, or respond to it, and get back to life. And I think that is exemplified by the fact that we've created the new timeline system that organizes information so that it's 1 or 2 clicks away from you. Instead of having to open an app and dig through it, you just see what's next. And we think the buttons on Pebble are another way that we actually differentiate ourselves, and that you can cancel a call or change to a new track just by feeling the buttons on your wrist without having to actually look at the watch.
Yeah, one of the confessions I'm going to make is chess and Tiny Birds are 2 games that I'm addicted to on the watch. I keep playing those two a lot, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah,
One of the things that so you've played Pliny Wings?
no, just Tiny Birds, the one that's a copy of, I think, Flappy Birds. I will tell you the name exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well, you'll have to try.
Tiny Bird.
This one.
Tiny Bird is the name of the game. Yeah. So that's
Let me just
Tiny Bird.
Grab the link. Give me 10 seconds.
Yeah.
This game is a lot
It's
of fun.
It's addictive.
Here,
And yeah.
I sent you a link in the chat.
Yeah.
It's kind of a beautiful, beautiful little game. I think it's available on Pebble Time Round.
Yeah.
Definitely on Pebble Time. It was created by a pixel artist who wanted to kind of create a different type of game inside a watch.
Yeah. So any funny story or any incident that really was a defining moment for you guys as Pebble when you started out or growing that you could share with us, that we could share with our readers? A defining story or a funny story that really stuck with you guys.
There's probably a lot. It's been, like I said, 8 years. So, what's a good one? I think one of the reasons why we've been able to develop such good software is because the people who work at Pebble are actually people who who owned a Pebble and were users themselves. There's a number of so. Are you a developer, or do you know to
No, I'm just, I actually have a master's degree in finance. I became a consumer electronic journalist because I love playing with phones and laptops and tablets and computers, and I just wanted to write about them. So, yeah, I
So
shifted.
you're
Yeah,
doing what you love as
yeah.
well.
I have a degree in finance, so I shifted from finance to this.
Well, one of the people who started. She was a student at MIT. She was working on, an engineering undergrad. And in her part time, she was making an app for Pebble and a website that would help Pebble developers code to write apps. And she was doing this, and all of a sudden, I think it was in Boston, and I sent her an email and I was like, hey, any chance we can meet up? Because I've seen you on the internet, I've seen you on the forums. It would be really cool to meet someone who's building this amazing Pebble kind of app. So I met up with her maybe like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and we just hung out for a little bit. And then a couple months later, we were in an email conversation. And I was like, do you want to just quit MIT and come and work at Pebble? And she was like, oh no, I wouldn't be an expert enough. I don't know if I'm qualified or whatever. And I was like, seriously, you're the one who, in your part time, built something that we couldn't even build. Of course, you're qualified. And she dropped out of MIT to come work at Pebble three years ago now, which is kind of crazy. Or 2 years ago. But I think yeah, the story has come up again. There's this guy from Warsaw who lived in Poland, and he was writing Pebble apps. He wrote one of the top Pebble apps. I don't know if you remember this one called Modern. It's a watch face that was very simple and elegant. And again, I emailed him and I was like, hey, do you want to just come work at Pebble? And he said, oh, my English is terrible. I don't think I would be qualified. There's no way that I could come all the way to California from Warsaw. And I was like, yeah, you could. Your English is great. It's better than mine. You should just fly out here and come work here. And he's like, that's crazy. But of course he did. And he's been here for like 2 years. And it's kind of fun that Pebble's been able to unify people from all around the world who are interested in this crazy idea of smartwatches. And I like it a lot because we work with people from all these different countries. There's a ton of Indians who work at Pebble. There's a ton of Canadians, Germans, Swiss, French. It's kind of fun.
Well, those were most of the questions that I had. Is there anything you think I missed out on that you would still like to share with the Indian audience?
No, but I think let me know what comes up as you're testing Pebble Time Round. Send me an email. My email is eric@pebble.com. If you're out here in the Bay, it'd be awesome if you could drop by. And likewise, when I'm out there, I'll try to give you a call. We're going to be launching a ton of new software products over the next year and in the coming years. So just keep me in the loop. We'll let you know as we launch new stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Yes, and we're looking forward to your trip to India. It would be great to have you here with us.
Cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks.
All right.